Say kids, there's nothing more fun than playing a bit of Mega Man Battle Network when you're not doing your chores or your homework, etc. But when someone tries to take a Cybeast into their body, you tell them no. You smack them around the head and say, hey, dumbass, don't do that shit.
That's no good. It's your Navi. You have the right to decide.
You don't have to jack in if you don't want to.
So what do? You tell someone you trust. Well, okay, they told their dad, and their dad was like, no, don't do it. And then Mega Man was like, sorry, Pops, I got to.
First you log off, then you get out of it.
You go outside and play fucking Pokemon.
Oh, so it's the beginning of a new recording session for us. We're quite hyper. But yeah, Hub tried to take Gregar into his body. It was successful, but now he lies comatose here.
You see, when you put a 1 gallon thing inside of a 1/4 thing, it doesn't exactly work out. And basically, Mega Man just might blow up at any moment because his body is holding on for dear life, trying to contain Gregar. But let's be fair, let's be honest. If Mega Man was like the only guy there and he had this ability to do this, if he didn't, Gregar would have been rampaging all over the internet doing crazy shit. And sometimes when you're in that kind of pinch, you have to make the hard decision. So I respect that.
Let's see. Another Navi. Can you think of, anything that could help us get out of this sitch, Helldragon?
Well, I seem to recall that we know a particular someone who actually let us test drive their Navi for a little bit. Alright, let's go get Gutsman.
There you go. You fucking idiot.
Now would have been the perfect time, actually, for, his friends to visit, and then Dex is like, yo, man, I'll do this. I'll help save Mega Man. That would have actually been kind of a cool character moment, but no, they just fuck off for the entire game. I'm sorry.
I think you can actually go back to AC/DC Town at one point, but it's not for a long time.
Yeah, that's, way later on in the game. You're mostly stuck here. Although, I love how... this is the last game in the series and he's moved to a completely new location. It reminds me of when Mass Effect 3 came out, and EA was like, now is the perfect jumping point onto the series. What, the last fucking game? Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I had a comment from someone, I forget which video it was on. It's like, you're doing Mega Man Battle Network 6? Wait, you get confused with all, the intricacies of the series? And I'm like... I meant this for no disrespect whatsoever. Dude, it's Mega Man Battle Network. You go inside computers and you fight stuff. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, you don't really need to know a lot of continuity. And what continuity you do need to know, I explained it already since I'm quote-unquote the expert.
There you go. Heatman is your link, Navi. It's time to go inside a computer and do heat-related things.
I just like how Mr. Match just lets you borrow him. Wait, are you even allowed to, okay. I know net navis are a thing, and I've seen them in school, when they go to school in the various games, your Navi's there and things like that. What constitutes, improper use of a Navi during school? Does it get taken away if you get in trouble? Does the Navi also go to a timeout? How does this work?
Well, don't forget, he's using it with the permission of a teacher here.
Well, yeah, in this case it's fine, because, Mega Man's in trouble and Heatman has said, hey, I'll help you out, and things like that. Good kill, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, it was against Met Tools, but still.
Shut up. Met Tools, I think you'll find.
Yeah, they changed the name for it for some reason. But anyway, in this case, it's understandable, and the teacher did give him permission, and we have seen Navis, being used during class to learn net battle techniques and things like that. I think Miss Mari gives the same tutorial on net battling 3 fucking times in the series, and you just have to sit through it, if I recall correctly. So, I mean, there are some rules where you can't, net battle in certain situations. It's kind of unclear, because in the manga, it's you need a license to net battle in, a public place on the internet, and then later on Lan gets one that lets him do that, because he joins that stuff. So it's really it really depends on the version you're playing or reading, I guess. So yeah, the big crux of this part is we're going to be doing a lot more killing with soul weapons, and that's going to take us quite a good bit, so I hope you have stuff to talk about.
Is there anything of Battle Network you particularly dislike? And I'm talking about the series as a whole here.
Okay, well, I've mentioned my distaste for random encounters as a whole, but that kind of applies to just kind of games in general, not really for Battle Network. I'd have to say, probably the thing I dislike the most about Mega Man Battle Network is... well, sometimes I feel they don't realize all of the potential they could have done with the series. I mean, and like I've said before, the series predicted a lot of stuff that happens to us now in the real world, and that's cool. But because of the fact that it's a Mega Man game, you know, it's been very light on like plot and characterization and things like that, and that's not necessarily bad. Like a game doesn't have to be like super intricate narrative shit, okay? But it's like the characters can be very too cliched and familiar. You know what I'm saying? Lan's kind of a moron, you know, he keeps forgetting about the kind of stuff you have to do. A lot of times it can feel like Capcom recycles elements over and over within like the same game to kind of pad it out, things like that. They've never been very good at making dungeons for the Battle Network series, I'll just say that straight up. But other than that, not really any huge damning flaws, per se. Like, you know, based on what you've played so far, is there anything in particular you don't really like?
I can't really think of anything that sticks out to me. There's a boss fight coming on, which I didn't particularly care for.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say that's like a huge flaw of the overall series. Like, yeah, some bosses are annoying in the games. I'm trying to remember, like, the most annoying, like, Battle Network boss I fought. I've played a lot of them, you know, decent, at least kind of dabbled, so they kind of run together after a while. I'd have to say, I don't know, I think like Mega Man Battle Network 1 was probably, since it was the most unpolished, to be polite, it had some gimmicks that I really didn't like. The Elecman fight, if you didn't know what you were doing, he could be annoying. Magic Man was pretty bad, actually. Like, his fight was a pain in the ass. Bomb Man wasn't bad. Stone Man wasn't bad. What was so weird is that they waited until Battle Network 2 to bring in Cut Man. Because in the first game, they had all the other classic Robot Masters as Navis. You know, Guts Man, Elect Man, Roll Man, whatever.
Roll Man.
That would have been interesting. But they waited until the sequel to bring in Cut Man. I like Cut Man EXE, by the way, and here's maybe a picture of it if Tom decides to put him up.
Well, I'm going to have to get creative with where I put it, because the top right is kind of being used right now.
That's true, that's true. I mean, I like his design. I just thought it was kind of odd. Like, I think they wanted to kind of go full-fledged Mega Man at first, and then they just kind of did their own thing after all, which isn't bad. You know, it's not like a straight adaptation of the classic games, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, bug frags for days.
Yeah, too bad Heatman won't be able to use them. Like we said before, you can only use net navis in like certain areas, pretty much. Like, mostly you'll be steering Mega Man. Spoiler, he survives. Shh.
You will need a train arrow for this particular thing.
Oh, I don't like these doors. Here's something I don't like. Okay, I can bring this up. Because sometimes, like, some doors, especially, like, plot critical doors, will require you to have a certain battleship, and, you know, maybe I just didn't fucking bother to get that. Because if you don't have one of those, you gotta go waltz around and grind for one of those, and that just slows the game down, in my opinion.
Well, doesn't, like, getting battleships, like, after a battle depend on how well you do in that battle? Like, how fast you finish it?
Well, yeah, it could depend on that. You know, sometimes you'll get money if you do especially bad, things like that. Sometimes you'll be in a situation, I know I've encountered this at least once, where there's a battleship you need, but you can't, like, win it easily. Like, you have to go buy the damn thing, you know? So you have to grind on. Yeah, they sometimes have to resort to some silly tricks to kind of pad up the game. And if you're asking me to have, like, a big major complaint about Battle Network, is that sometimes the way they pad out the game is nothing I especially approve of.
It's like I was playing the original Legend of Zelda on my new 3DS XL recently, and at the time we're recording this, the 14th of July, you'll remember the previous session was yesterday, at the time of this recording. I was in a dungeon, and I got all the way to the boss, who was Goma, you know, the big spider, and I had the bow, but I did not have the arrows, and that's the only way you can kill Goma. It dies in one hit with the arrow, but you still need the arrows, and nowhere in the dungeon did it give me arrows as a drop, so I had to go all the way out and find a shop and grind rubies and buy some arrows, and I'm sorry, that counts as a padding.
Yeah, I mean, later Zelda games have been better in giving you arrows, like, during the boss fight, and other equipment you might need in order to hit, like, their weakness, things like that. I seem to recall there was a Wind Waker boss. I know I got up this far. I haven't beaten the game, admittedly, but I got to that point where that Guardian was testing you, and he actually will drop arrows for you, because it's a test, and he wants to see how you can do, which I thought was very nice of the guy.
Oh, Godan in the Tower of the Gods.
Is that what his fucking name is? Yeah, that thing. Like I said, it's been a while. My, you know, Wii U hasn't been used for a bit, I gotta admit. Just knife this guy in one of the digital alleyways.
Jesus Christ.
I'm pretty sure Heatman has done that before. Although, knowing Mr. Match, I have to say, besides his moments of pyromania, he doesn't really seem like the guy who would go, like, that balls crazy when it comes to being evil. Like, Wily was nuts, like, let's make no mistake here, and I would say more like Maddie and Count Zap were more malicious. But I guess Mr. Match actually kind of mellowed out faster than the rest of them, because you don't see, like, well, later on you'll meet somebody related to a Count Zap. I don't know if you've gotten that far. But, you know, other than that, like, that's really all you hear about the guy. Maddie is doing God knows what now, probably in jail, let's hope so. She was nuts, man.
And this one shall seal the deal, and we can move on to the next area.
I'm not going to use the knife because I don't have any. No, I'm going to use the axe because it's the most fun.
That was probably the least optimized area of this particular part. I was supposed to do, like, something in a certain order, and I thought, fuck it, I'm doing it right, and I haven't gotten hit. I'll just go with this take.
This is one of those areas with those obnoxious scrolly panels. I seem to recall you come here in Falzer as Aquaman, or Spoutman, but it's Aquaman. And, like, he has to do another, like, side quest. I think it's when you're operating him for the first time. Like, you know how you did with Pete Man and Mr. Match. And he has some stupid shit he had to do. And I'm like, wow, I enjoy this a lot less than Heat Man stuff.
Okay, the last store required us to have a specific battle chip. This time you've just got to fight 3 battles in a row.
Another thing that I know particularly comes to mind, like, sometimes when you fight NPCs, like, they say, oh, let's have a net battle, but instead they whip out, like, viruses. I thought, like, viruses weren't things you weren't supposed to have in, like, your PET. Did they just have, like, these in, like, the, what is it? What is it called when a virus program kind of, like, the quarantine section? You know, something like that. Are they gonna do that and just, alright, I'm just gonna sick it on this fucking Navi and just see what he does?
What's funny is there are actually viruses in some of the blue mystery data, like diamonds around the place, and you can, like, I believe, buy things called untraps, I think that's what they're called, to, you know, just get rid of those if you feel it's a bit dubious. But I just like the idea of you going up to a thing and going, ooh, a new battle chip! Virus battle begin!
One thing I liked about Battle Network 4 is that you got to fight Navis you couldn't normally fight. Like, not only did you fight Roll, you also got to fight the Heal Navis, which was mistranslated, of course. They're actually called Hell Navis, and they're like, you know, like those purple-looking motherfuckers with, like, the disc-shaped heads sort of thing. You ever see any of those in this game?
I can't say that I have, no.
If you saw them, you would know what they look like. They're very distinct, and you actually got to fight those. Usually what they would do when they fight you is that they would send more fucking viruses after you, like a Pokemon trainer, and that's not nearly as fun, I think. Oh, these guys are blue. They must be, like, the toughest med tools on the internet.
I found this battle, the third one in particular, kind of tricky, so what you're watching here is a retake.
Yeah, I mean, it's a okay strategy. Like, they've got the, these guys move a lot faster, they throw their shockwaves better, and meanwhile you've got that, pufferfish in the background just shooting at you, so it can get a little tricky to dodge around.
Don't enrage it while the metals are still on the field, by the way, because you'll go from, like, 1 or 2 pins to, like, 3, or, well, 2 or 3 in the span of a second, and that can get very tricky to dodge around.
Now, he's not showing it here, but when you drive around like another Navi that isn't yours, he still has a normal buster. Like, I just haven't seen you really use it that much because you're going more for the charge attack and, like, the heat press, things like that.
He doesn't really have a buster. When you see him, like, charge up and just, like, go flame on, that's how he operates. We're close, Helldragon, we're close.
I see that, but I mean, the place is just crawling with these fucking flame monsters, man. I mean, did they really kill all of the other net police besides you? Well, okay, well, you're spent, so I suppose that makes sense. Just give you, like, a whole pocket armory to work with. Are they, like, battle chips, or are they just, like, separate programs, like the sub-energies or whatever?
Maybe, like, one-time use kind of things.
I suppose. I mean, like, they can kill a spirit in, like, one hit if the conditions are right. Or hit him in the back and kill them instantly, so there you go.
We'll leave these guys till last.
You know, we're coming back for you. Like, you guys ain't gonna escape.
Mark it in your diary. God, I can't wait for this part to be over so we can get to an interesting battle.
Yeah, most of it is just killing these fucking fire guys, man. No, I'm gonna knife you directly.
I'm gonna stare into your eyes as the light leaves them.
this guy looking like, oh, I'm sure nothing bad's gonna happen today. It's gonna be great. Oh my god!
Ah! Make sure you step on the right paddle, or float onto it, I guess.
Oh man, this reminds me of like some of the crazy puzzle rooms they had in Chip's Challenge. You ever played that game?
No.
Chip's Challenge is like a classic Windows 95 game. It was actually on Amiga and like Atari stuff first. You basically go around like various levels. You're solving puzzles and going around like, you know, arrow tracks and things like that. And you have to collect all the chips in the level because I believe the objective of that game was you wanted to join this girl's club. Like, she had a club for super smarty people, and you're a chip and you're a nerd, and any girl that has relatively close to the same interests as you, you'd go after, naturally. So, like, the whole objective, you have to go through, like, 100 levels of her clubhouse. They call it her clubhouse. I think that's bullshit, because no clubhouse is that fucking intricate. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean if you ever saw that game. But I mean, like, you just go through it, and I guess the promise is sex afterwards? I don't know. I've never done that kind of thing.
How old are these people?
They're like in, like, I don't know, say middle school or something like that? I don't know.
Let's swiftly move on, I think. Okay, we're going back for those blues. Their time has finally come.
Yeah, kill all the Slifer blues. He has a vendetta against those.
But first...
Oh, gotta hack into somebody's computer.
We have the CSID key. That joke is never gonna get old.
I don't know, sometimes the pronunciations can be pretty funny. Oh, you know, I only got stuff to do on the internet. No, I'm gonna go over here and get some illegal data. With the perspective set up like this, sometimes I have actually gotten confused in the past and thought I could walk on platforms that were actually below me.
Yeah.
But at this point, they do a good enough job in kind of coloring everything different. This was something that happened more in the earlier games, where you could get more easily confused and mixed up on the various pathways.
Oh yeah, whatever that is.
Ice Seed, I believe, it's like a bomb kind of move, where it creates like an ice field, you know, on the grid. And that can be useful for something that revolves around sliding around on ice. I'm trying to remember the exact specific effect of that when it I think when you combine it with, like, you know, water chips. Let me take a look real fast.
Ice Seed A. It's not telling me. Damn you, Google!
Let's see. These are panels, thank you. Moment ice. Okay. Aqua element attacks will freeze anything standing on an ice panel, causing you to be unable to move for a few seconds to take double damage from breaking element attacks. This also changes the panel into a normal panel. Tornado attacks and ice panels will also turn the panel into a normal panel and deal double damage. And I believe... No, they don't actually do this in 6, but in earlier games, if you just did an electric attack while something was standing on an ice panel, it would do double damage.
Neat. Hella fucking neato. And the part is finally done. So we'll see you next time, where things will happen. See you then.